This is Amy Chan from CakeDecoratingSchool.com, and if you like cake decorating, you're in the right place. Welcome to our flower series. In this video, we're going to be piping buttercream clematis flowers. The video is broken down into steps, so you can rewind, skip ahead, and rewatch as desired. Let's start making colors for our clematis flowers. We're going to make 2 colors of purple and 1 kind of light citrusy green color. And we're using our American style buttercream and liquid gel food colors. We're going to use some sky blue, violet, a little touch of lemon yellow, and finally some neon bright pink. I'm going to start by making my darkest shade of purple. So I'm going to start with some drops, and I'm just going to put in a couple, if it'll cooperate, drops of my violet. There we go. So just 3 nice drops, and I'm just going to put in 1 of my pink because I want it to be kind of a nice bright shade. There we go. At least the pink is behaving today. So we're just going to mix it around, and we want to make a nice vibrant shade of purple. And I think I've got enough violet in there. I might just give it a little more of that pink, just to give it that kind of bright tone and feel, not really to take it towards a pink. So just a little more of that pink. That's good. So we have a nice, lovely, bright color of purple. We're going to now make our second shade. So for our second shade of purple, we want to make it more of kind of a lilac color. We want it to be lighter in intensity and have more of that pink in it. So it's more of an in-between color. So I'm just going to use some small specks with my toothpick of both my violet and my neon bright pink. Just kind of equal amounts to start with. So just a couple. I just did like 3 specks and a little bit of buttercream. So I don't want this color to be too dark because I want it to read as really different against the first purple that I made, and I want it to have more pink in it as well. So that's looking nice. It's still pretty pale though, and we want it to be more of a medium shade, so I'm just going to add some more color. A little more of each. I like the feel that it has. Just want it to be a little more intense. Looking good. I think maybe just a little bit more of that pink and we will be perfect. Just want to shift it a little more towards the pink. Beautiful, and vastly different than the first color I made. So for our third shade, we're going to be making a light citrusy green. So I'm going to start out with a few specks of lemon yellow and just a small one of that sky blue. So less blue than yellow will give you that nice kind of citrusy feel, but it should still be a green color. And I'm just going to take a look at this and maybe bump it up if we need it to be a little more intense. Still a little bit pastel, and it's got quite a bit of blue in it. So for now, I'm just going to add a little more yellow. And we can see that gives us that nice, bright, citrusy green color. And I think that's going to be beautiful with our 2 shades of purple. For this flower, we're using 3 disposable 12-inch decorating bags fitted directly with tips. We've got just some green in our first bag that has a number 3 tip on it, so a small round tip. The second has a 352 leaf tip, and we've striped it. So green on each side and our dark purple in the middle. And you'll notice that 352, it's one of those V-shaped leaf tips, and the points of it are lined up with our purple. So we're looking to make purple in the middle and kind of green on the sides for a nice little effect. And finally, we have our light and dark purple striped in a bag with a 103 tip. So this is a just regular standard sized straight petal tip. And we've got the light purple on the skinny end, right? So lined up, so it's going to come on the outside edge of that petal, and the dark with the fatter end, so it's going to be in the middle. So that's just important if you want to create that same effect. But really, you could go dark purple, light purple, and green if you wanted to do a simpler flower and skip the striping. So let's talk about the techniques that we're going to use to create our little clematis flowers. We're going to do some petals that are big. They're going to be almost leaf shaped, and we're going to have our tips. So the fat end is towards the center, skinny end out, and what we're going to do is just draw out, think of a nice long line and create a point, and then we're going to rotate and then draw back. So it's essentially a two-part petal, right? One stroke up, second stroke down to make those nice, beautiful petals that have that great tapered shape. Looks almost like a leaf, but since we're doing them in colors, it's going to look like petals. And we're going to go all the way around and make those nice big ones. You can see my striping has started to come out. I probably need to give it a little more squeeze, maybe adjust the position of my tip a little bit, but that's not a big deal. And this is actually a good test for that. My second one is going to be smaller petals in the middle, and I want it to have a nice kind of stripy effect, so I've put those three colors in the bag, and I'm just kind of twisting and playing with it a little bit to try and get that green to come out on both sides, but I like the way it's kind of overlapping and giving us a nice little effect. And really all we need to do with this is pull tiny little leaves, but since they're in alternate colors, it's going to look like petals. We're going to hold it the way we normally would, bag at a 45-degree angle, one of those points touching, and we're just going to squeeze till it connects and then pull a nice little spike. And by pulling quick little pointed leaves, those little spikes, we're going to get the look of tinier little petals towards the center. We're going to use a combination of dots and lines to create the center, so it has all those great kind of frilly little stamens in there. And the first thing we're going to do is just pipe a nice dot, and then we're going to pull lines, some of them up around kind of enclosing that, and some of them up and out. So just letting the frosting connect and then pulling away. So essentially you start out with a dot and then pull up nice and slow and give it a little quick motion at the end to get ourselves a little spike that will stand up for us. So that'll give us those little stamens. And we're just kind of using that ball as a base. So those are the 4 different techniques that we're going to use to create our blossoms. So let's talk about how we're going to combine the techniques that we just went over to create our clematis flowers. We're going to first on our nail pipe anywhere from 5 to 8 petals. They can be tight together or more spaced out depending on what you want. Obviously, if you do 5, there's going to probably be some space in between. If you do 8, they're going to overlap some, and that's okay. Clematis flowers have a lot of different kinds of varieties, so you can kind of do whatever is comfortable for you. And if they come out with a different number of petals, it's not a big deal. So it's kind of an easy and forgiving one. So you want to lay those petals down in a nice circle first, get them so that you like them, and then we'll move on. We'll do our little dot right in the center, and then we're going to cover it with stamens. So we're going to go around and pull stamens kind of so that they're curving over that and covering up the little dot, making a nice center for us. And then we're going to pull some up and kind of out and get a nice wild kind of hairy, furry look there in the center. And once we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and surround it with kind of a row or two of just those little shorter petals. And this is kind of a complex clematis, there's several different varieties or varietals, whatever you call them, and some of them are simpler and some of them have more petals and kind of look frillier and fancier. I thought this one would be an easy one for us to start with, just because those extra petals in the middle will make it more stable, which means when you go to pick it up and transfer it to a cake, it's going to be an easier task for you not to worry about any kind of breakage there in the middle. So I thought that would be nice, and we'll get those nice little 352 petals. It's great practice for leaves. It's going to add some bulk and body there to the center and make them more stable, and I just think the flowers themselves also look really pretty. So now that we've talked a little bit about how we're going to put everything together, let's pull out our flower nail and give it a practice. So really quickly before I got started, I took a Sharpie and I just divided up the area on my piece of parchment that I'm going to use on the top. And these are kind of big flowers, so I'm using a nice big kind of like 3-inch square piece of parchment, so I have lots of room. And I just divided it into 6. So one line down the middle and then a nice X across should give you 6 relatively equal spaces, and that's a nice number for these flowers. You can always do more, squeeze in an extra petal or two if you want it to be fuller or want some of the petals overlapping, but this should give us nice kind of equal sized petals that are equally spaced out. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this over so I don't have Sharpie contact with my buttercream, but you can still see through it really nice and easy, and put it on my flower nail and we'll get started. So let's get started. We've got our 103 tip on our bag and we're going to go ahead. We've got the fat end. It's going to touch right there in the center, skinny end. I'm just going to kind of line it up along one of those lines that I can see through my paper. And I've got the back of the bag kind of up. It's almost towards like 1 o'clock. And I'm just going to pull up and out to a point and then go back and down. And you can see that easily fills up one of those little spaces. And I'm starting to get a nice little stripe on the outside edge of that light purple. And then I'm just going to go tuck it right underneath the edge of the one before and right back. You can see this is giving me nice, beautiful petals. They're really taking up that area. And if I go slower, they'll be a little fatter. If I go quicker, they'll be a little skinnier. And don't worry too much, especially in the beginning, about making them all perfectly equal. Just try and get that nice kind of point on the end. And we're doing that by pulling up and rotating our bag so the back of the bag kind of curves towards 3 o'clock to get it a nice point up. And then you start at that 3 o'clock, pull back, right? And it kind of remains stationary, and that's going to allow us to kind of tuck the end right in there. And this last one, I'm not going to worry too much if I hit one of my previous petals. I'm just going to come back and overlap. And you can see that gives us nice, beautiful, big petals, right? They look and feel a little like the petals on a clematis flower. It looks great in the two-tone purple. You can do white and purple, pink and white. There's all sorts of color combos. We're going to switch bags and grab the one with our 3 tip and start working on our centers. So we're going to go right in the middle of our flower, up off the surface, squeeze a nice little dot to get our center started. And then we're just going to pull stamens all the way across. Just rotate your nail as you need to, just to give us the idea of a nice closed center. And then just start kind of pulling some of them a little bit out. So some of them can go straight up and some of them can pull out towards the edge of your petals. Beautiful. So nice kind of furry there in the middle. And then we'll change bags to our 352. So we've grabbed our 352 and I'm just going to go in here and just really quickly pull some just really tiny little spikes. Notice I keep my bag in the same position and go all the way around that center and then pull it out a little bit further out on those petals and go around a second time, just a little bit bigger. And one of the things I love about this tip is you can really create a lot of different sizes of those little spiky leaves with it. If you need to or want to, you can then grab your 3 and pull some more spikes, especially if you want some of them to be longer, a little wilder. Now they've got a nice little cushion to kind of rest on, and it's a great way to create a beautiful clematis flower. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like more about the cake decorating materials and equipment we use, or just some inspirational videos about cake decorating itself, you can follow us on Insta or YouTube at Cake Decorating School. If you'd like to know more about yearly membership and what it entails, you can go to www.cakedecorating.school.com for more information. And if you're interested in these products, you can check the links in the description.